Everybody, it's your main man, your ace boom coon. I'm your guy, you my people. And ain't nothing you can do about it. It's Anthony Brogdon, Strong Inspirations, where I give it to you straight, no chaser. I'm not playing with you. I got a lady on the channel today who gonna go deep on you in a metaphysical, psychological, all them kind of little cool situation. Watch out. You're gonna like this lady. I like it because let me tell you something. I've been working to get her on, and she's busy. But she committed to coming on. And here we are. We're not playing with you, my brothers and my sisters. Here is Strong Inspirations. Not at all. You're going to be deep on this because let me tell you, we're going to talk about it in a various ways. And it's still got a Black history slant. But you know, the other thing that I want to do here at the channel is I want to get into some wellness stuff. That's what we're going to do today. Some mental wellness. I'm getting into some diet wellness so we can eat better and stuff like that. And I still put Black history in it. So my brothers and my sisters, do this for me. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. It don't ask no information. It don't cost nothing. When the video's over, just hit the button. Tell me you subscribe. I appreciate that. Hit the like button on this video. You're gonna like this a whole lot. I'm telling you, watch. And then hit the notifications bell for when the videos come up. You get a ding, you get a shock, you get a smoke signal. Your lights in your house flicker on and off. The horn on your car blows. All kind of things to let you know that, there's something new. It's Strong Inspirations, and we're ready for you just to watch it. And because it's on YouTube, my friend, you can put that cursor and go past and go to wherever you want to go in the video. You follow what I'm saying? So you can do it however you want to do it, but get this information. And then share this with other people. Don't sit around telling people you know all this and you know all that. Don't tell them where you got it from. You running around here acting like you super smart. And you are, I'm not questioning that, but you're smarter because of Strong Inspiration. Tell somebody about it. Did you see the video I put up with the guy who has a huge urban farm here in the Detroit area? Y'all know I'm in Detroit. And he talks about eating healthy and growing foods in your own garden and how to do that. And then he puts an African slant of how he had been to Africa and saw them kill the goat, and the goat in the back of the car crying and screaming. He said, nah, it's time to eat the goat. He said, man, I can't eat that. I heard him screaming. I ain't that kind of guy. And he talks about, maybe lacking up on some of them meats, everybody. Watch that video. Did you see the other one on that same note? This gentleman where he talks about foods from Africa and how they brought it to America. Dr. Scott Barton, watch that video. Did you see the one I put up? And I'm going in a different direction here just a tad with the lady who talks about what happened in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865. What happened when them Black folks got the word? How did it happen? Juneteenth? Because Juneteenth did not mean we were free. Some of us had some chances, but there were many more after that still had to work up under that condition. Watch that video. Did you see the one I did with the NBA? And the NBA is about to start their season soon. First Black player. I got his son on the channel, Kevin Lloyd. Watch that video. And I'm gonna keep giving them to you. No question about it. As you all may know, I'm an author. But no, let me say before I'm an author, I'm a filmmaker. This is the DVD. I don't have any more of them. Nobody got DVD players. It's called Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. It's streaming on Amazon. You want to watch this. This is good. Took me 3 years of my life to help educate the public that there were slaves who owned businesses, and I name names and I tell you what they did for a living and how they bought their freedom as a result of those profits. and so much more is in my documentary. Go to that, Business in the Black. I don't have the book right here in front of me, but if you can see it on the wall, is a big poster of a book I wrote. I got some more copies coming in from my printer on similar topic as the movie, but more thorough. It's more facts. I tell you all the ways slaves gained their freedom. And I just alluded to one of them, some slaves sued for it and won in court. Said, hey man, this guy right here, one instance, the guy, he paid the money that the enslaver said he wanted. He paid it and did not free him. My man took him to court and won. It's in the book and so much more. And you can learn all about me on my website, because one more thing, I'm launching Inspirations by Strong. My whole thing is to inspire people. My aim is to inspire, educate, and entertain. So I got these sayings, little phrases that I'm putting on wood plaques, and you can put it up on your wall. And oh man, they're good too. I had people, they looked at them and say, I like this, I like that, I like that. So all that will be on my website. Go there, businessintheblack.net. Now you hear me use this term strong, and strong is my favorite word. Oh man, I wish my middle name was Strong. At one point I had a license plate that said Strong. Been saying it a long time, and I'll probably keep saying it. And in my world, Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. She's a strong, good-looking soul sister. Watch out, she deep. She ain't playing with y'all. Come on, introduce yourself. Thank you for being on Strong Inspirations.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your energy. You're so full of energy, and it's inspiring and it's contagious. Will you repeat what Strong stands for you?
Strong is strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace.
Oneness, nobility,
and
grace.
And grace. That's strong.
Strength, tenacity, resilience,
yes.
Or resistance?
Resilience. And a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace.
Nobility and grace. Just soaking that in. I really feel like strength, number one, S, and tenacity, and resilience, and oneness, and nobility, and definitely grace require us to be, they require us to feel. They ask us to be vulnerable with ourselves. They ask us to be honest with what is here, with what's here. Because in order to be all those things at once, we really need each other.
Okay, I got to stop you right there. Hold that thought. Tell us your name.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is Danielle. That's the name I was given. It means one with God. It also means female form of Daniel. It also means, and then Daniel means one with God. Elaine, which is my middle name, which means ray of light. Benjamin, which I do not know the meaning of. I'm gonna write that down because I need to remember to investigate. And it's interesting that I haven't really yet. But that's a name that I think the reason I haven't, not that my first name and my middle name aren't similar, but my last name is one that I hold like with a distance, because I have assumed that it's a name that I gained through my ancestors, assuming the name of a white person who claimed to own them.
Yes.
And so while it's my name and I clearly go by it, and I identify myself with it, I haven't yet fully stepped into understanding it. So yeah, wrote it down so that I'll as a follow-up.
Yeah, I got you.
And I in preparation for this conversation with you, I prayed, and I feel and I pray for from this conversation, for myself and for the many who get to witness this conversation, and for you, that we come closer to ourselves through this conversation, closer to knowing who we are and our roots and where we're going.
I love it.
So as this question popped up, as you just simply asked me what my name is, I'm like, okay, there we go.
I love it.
I'm gonna come closer to myself through this.
Let me do this with you just a second, as I do with all my guests. I just ask you a couple questions about yourself. You were born and raised where?
In Richmond. I was born in Oakland.
Okay.
And raised in Richmond, Oakland, the inner East Bay, Berkeley.
Yeah, in California.
Yes,
Did you grow up in a predominantly Black neighborhood, white neighborhood, that kind of thing?
Richmond is Black and Indigenous. It was when I was growing up. It's becoming a little more gentrified now, but I grew up kind of on the edge of the town. And I went to schools that were Bay Area. I don't know how familiar you are with the Bay Area, but there are people from all over the world living here. Sure. And I was aware that I was in a bubble of diversity, and that white folks here, that racism. There's a big culture of amongst white folks of liberal white folks. Okay. Progressive, quote progressive, very limited, but race was, and diversity was celebrated in my upbringing amongst white folks. Okay. Anyway, you didn't ask me that.
But I like that.
That's a whole other conversation. But I grew up around a lot of folks who were from the Philippines, a lot of immigrants, a lot of Mexican Americans, a lot of Black folks, a lot of white folks.
When you grow up like that, and we could attest, in certain situations, a person can lose their Blackness because they are assimilating to the general population. Mm. How did that not happen to you, or what was that dynamic when you got all these other kids and now you walking around and they tell you don't wear that Black only t-shirt or what have you, because that is a shock? Was that the case?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I don't, it depends on how you're defining Blackness. I don't think that, for me, it's impossible to be lost because of, well, here we go, because of the ways that I was brought up to know my roots, to want to know my roots. And so for me, being Black was about understanding that I am rooted, that I because what society would like us to believe is that we are unrooted, just floating around in a culture together, and very susceptible to brainwashing from the industries that make up this colony, that really hold the power in this colony. So understanding that I'm actually the manifestation of all of my ancestors, and that I am also the manifestation of all of my children, all of my children's 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 children's, and so on. That I am a blink of an eye on a long lineage, a very long lineage. Like, that's something that that I was brought to from spirit directly, that I was brought to through my family, as my parents and my aunts and uncles were in their self-discovery, and as they were raising us as young children, me and my siblings and my cousins, as they were raising us when we were 2, 3, they were in a time of cultural reclamation and historical understanding. They were self-studying.
Okay.
And so as they were raising us. So like my sister, my big sister, who you interviewed, Catherine Golden,
Yes.
she is named Catherine, okay? I'm named Danielle. I'm the middle child. My little brother, 4 years, he's 4 years younger than me. His name is Samari, which is Swahili. And so by the time, actually, when he was born, they named him Nathan. And then before he turned 1, they legally changed his name to Samari because that was the time at which they were realizing the ways in which being a Black person in this settler colony has impacted their access to knowing their own languages, spiritual practices, their roots, their foods. And so they began to study and they began to practice ritual and honor our ancestors, pour water for our ancestors, speak their names, and require us to read and study about our history as small children.
When you say that required you to do that,
yeah,
that was something that they realized that they wanted to instill in you. Is it from a religious standpoint, or is it from a cultural standpoint? I mean, it might be a both of those to get you to where you are.
I think it was from a culture. I think it was from both. Yes. Religiously, my parents did not identify with any particular religion, although their parents, my Nana, my mom's mom, is a Catholic. She was Catholic. She was raised by Catholic nuns in New Orleans, and her faith was so important to her. She's in spirit now. She's an ancestor now.
Sure.
Because of her connection to, there's some beautiful stories on that line with her and her mother, who was adopted by 2 owners of a boarding house in New Orleans, who Edward and Mariah Burke, who ran this hotel boarding house for Black folks who were coming through New Orleans. And so, that a woman, Josephine Russell, came through New Orleans pregnant, gave birth at the hotel, and passed giving birth. She died giving birth.
Oh my God.
And left this baby with Edward and Mariah Burke to raise. Asked them to raise. What she asked was that the nuns raise the baby. Because I actually don't know what her religious experience was, but that's what she asked. And so Edward and Mariah Burke raised this baby, Ogorita Burke, with their name Burke, and also had the help of the nuns in New Orleans. And so that's why, then my Nana, who is Ogorita's daughter, and her sister Lillian, they were raised also around Catholicism. And so, so that was precious to my Nana, and was a really big part of how she moved with faith and with spirituality. And she's one of my mentors right now, my mentors in spirit, spiritually. But my mother did not consider herself Catholic, and neither did my father, but certainly didn't. My father was more, actually, I don't know, I shouldn't speak for them, but what was apparent to me was that my dad more clearly rejected Catholicism. And my mom was also did, but she also felt like she could have us in environments, in Catholic environments, and she knew who she was and what her relationship was with her existence, and didn't feel like she had to it was any cost for her to be in that environment.
Sure.
She wanted us to be in the schools. She wanted us to be in Catholic schools for the education. And so, as opposed to the public schools in the East Bay at the time.
Sure.
And so she did that. And, my dad was delivering mail in Berkeley for 30 years. He had government job to facilitate that, to help pay for that. And my mother also was working full time. And so they made that happen.
Yeah,
and so I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Let me stop you there. Are you when you were growing up and going into school in those early years, and and at some point, are you a deep person? Are you different? You see the world different? Because that's going to be the lead into what we're going to talk about.
Do you mean as a result of going to Catholic schools?
Or just as a result of your upbringing? Or because you're saying some deep things. You're saying about some spiritual things that guided you, and what you do for a living, and your practices are deep metaphysically, I guess is the right word. Were you always this way in high school? Were you that?
I was, but okay. And I feel like it's in spite of being in Catholic schools, because I did have a relationship with spirit and with nature that how vulnerable do I get here? When I was I always had a close relationship with nature. When I was really, really, really little, like 2, 3, 4, I felt free in nature. I felt like, okay, I'm an Aquarius. This may or may not mean anything to you, but I'm an Aquarius, and so is my sister, and so is my mother. So we're 3 Aquarius women, and Aquarians have a stereotype of being like know-it-alls a little bit. And so I was the youngest one with the least power. And so I found freedom, and I felt like I was seen and had a voice amongst the trees and near a creek and like by myself in nature. So I had a relationship with the living universe since I was very, very little. And then with my parents, and aunts and uncles facilitating, having us call our ancestors forward to be with us since I was very little in ceremony together, I was very sensitive to that.
Okay, and let me stop you there. When you say in ceremony, what does that mean? On a Sunday, you all would do this and pour libations?
It wasn't on a Sunday because we were not operating within any kind of like Christian frameworks at all. It really it began through what is called Kwanzaa. Yes. Many of us, it's become a corporate thing now. Yes. So many of us know or have heard about Kwanzaa. That was the framework through which my aunts and uncles and parents brought us together in a big like ceremonial way.
Sure.
But it was also day to day throughout the year. Like anytime the family got together for a birthday, or anytime we were just together, we would take a moment and name the ancestors, speak about them, pour water for them, give thanks.
When you say name the ancestors, are these the people that you name only those in your family, or did y'all have to go and name other people that maybe moved you in some way that you had a connection with? What do you mean by the ancestors? Who were they?
Beautiful question. Both. So we would speak to ancestors that we have blood relation with, that we like can name, that we've known in this lifetime, or family members, and we would name ancestors of race, so Black ancestors who and we would also name ancestors because Ida B. Wells, for instance, is not someone who I know to have a direct blood relation with, although we are relatives because we're Black, and we're both, have crossed through these lands of the deep South and arrived here on this landmass through the Middle Passage from most likely places on the west coast of Africa. And so, like broadly, we share ancestry, and so there's many ways to like connect with lineage and to. Mm-hmm. We would also call forth ancestors in bigger groups at times. So we would call forth call forth and honor. We use the language "we call forth," which I've shifted in my practice now, because I want to only call forth ancestors when I am ready to receive them. So I'm not going to call forth a large swath of ancestors without like knowing exactly what I'm doing that for anymore. But growing up, that's what we were doing. we were calling forth ancestors. We learned to be very specific about what type of energy we were calling for, though. And so sometimes we would name ancestors that we didn't necessarily know directly. They weren't part of our blood, our family line, but we wanted to call forth a certain spirit that they represented or that they cultivated in this lifetime. So we would tell those stories as we spoke of them and spoke to them and offered water and offered love and offered energy and gratitude to them.
Does that mean that you had
to bring us and teach us that spirit?
Does that mean you had to research these people to figure out who you wanted to call forth? So you had to do a lot of reading on their life and that kind of thing?
We did, as children, yeah.
Oh.
And yeah.
So let's get right to it then, if I may say. What do you do now? You do what? You have a business that does something in this realm. What is it? Yeah. Tell us. I mean, we're plugging on this show too. So
okay, I love that. Yeah,
we're plugging.
Yes, and we need that as medicine people for sure. We have to uplift each other's work. Yeah, I'm an herbalist. So I support people to heal their bodies and all of their bodies, so their emotional bodies, their hearts, their spirit and energy bodies, and their physical bodies, with the help of plant medicine. I'm not, my books are closed for the moment. And I also practice body work and so energy healing and massage, and that my books are closed for that practice at the moment because I'm currently teaching full-time.
When you say your books are closed, I mean you're not taking any more clients.
Not right now.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
But I am working with a collective of Black medicine folk to open up a storefront healing space and herb shop, apothecary, and medicine garden here in the Bay Area. And so we're running it cooperatively. We're fundraising right now. It's called Temple of Earth Apothecary. And yeah.
Okay, I love it. I love it. You say medicine. Is that what you call this?
When I say medicine, I'm referring to what is healing. So like, okay. Yes, that's what I call maybe a tea that you might take for a few weeks, deeply infused herbal tea that's formulated for what you're healing physically or in whatever way. They're always connected. What's happening on the physical body always has some connection to what's happening on an emotional body, or more subtly or more spiritually. They can't be connected. It's all part of who you are.
Love it.
And so the herbs, yes, that is, they have medicine that we can look at. We can look at it chemically, we can look at it energetically, we can look at it more on a we can look at the plants as teachers. In my practice, and many of us, we have ancestors who understood that the plants are the way that they move. They are whole beings. You know, they are whole souls of their own. That just like we are souls, they can teach us when we work with them, when we invite them into our bodies. And so there are ways to do that are like taking it like a pill, like allopathic or Western medicine, and just taking like a high dose and wanting it to change something right away, like impacting a headache or something, or like to help to relieve an acute symptom. And then there are ways that are looking deeper into what patterns are at play, lifestyle, relational,
I got you.
Obviously physiological.
Sure, mm-hmm. Sure. Well, let me ask you this, and we alluded to it before we, came on. What's the Black historyness in what you do? Mm-hmm. Tell us some of maybe what the ancestors did that you do today. Are there similar practices that maybe came from Africa that you do? How did those people, those who practice as you do, what was that connection? Do you know those stories or something of that sort? Yes.
Yes, thank you for this question. One of the things that brought me to herbal medicine was um, I'm going to get right to it, and it's deep and personal. But was healing my body, was allowing my body to release a pregnancy with herbal medicine, so herbal abortion. And this was one of the first times that I experienced the physiological, spiritual, ancestral trinity coming together, and releasing, doing something so big and so powerful with herbs and prayer. And so that's something that is an ancestral practice. This is something that one of the herbs that I worked with and that I support other people. Part of what I do as an herbalist, I'm a community herbalist, is working. Sorry, we have some music. We have someone driving by right now.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't mean to say sorry. Enjoy.
Sure.
Yeah. So our ancestors have been working with cotton in many contexts. We worked with cotton under, as we were held captive on these lands. And we have a deep relationship with that plant. The bark of the root bark of cotton is can be used to release a pregnancy. And
really?
so in my practice with herbal medicine, I support people to work with plants that are ancestral to them if possible. That means that their ancestors also worked with that plant, because we know that the body recognizes what foods and plants your ancestors have also eaten. And so there's a resonance with my body and cotton. I have ancestors who have worked with cotton to release pregnancies in the past. And so like when we work with the plants that our ancestors also knew, there's a special resonance and a special power that they can have in the body and spirit.
So
And
can we assume that those who were enslaved might have known this and used cotton for that reason?
Absolutely.
So if they were impregnated by the enslaver, that might have been something that they used.
So this is resiliency. Yes. So, and it's a very simple, it's in my experience, like speaking from my experience, feeling having to make that choice, that sacred choice. Yeah. I felt the company of my ancestors who also had to make that choice. And who'd made that choice with the help of the same plant that I worked with when I had to make that choice. And so it's a beautiful practice of where the ancestors, the other mothers, my mother's mothers, who also released pregnancies with cotton using, cotton root bark, those ancestors get to support my release, my pregnancy release with the same herb. And so we can ask the ancestors and the plants to work together.
I'm gonna stay on that just in this regard. When you did that, could you hear their voices telling you something at the time that you drank that herb or something of that sort?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Give us another one of a herb that does some miraculous feat. Give us a couple of them.
Okay.
If you will.
Yeah. So around in the same few years, I gave birth in 2015, and giving birth was a very powerful experience for me. I felt and saw my ancestors with me, and then after that, my spiritual practice and my relationship with my ancestors, I wiped my altar clean, and I began to rebuild it, because my things were happening with me that I felt like I needed a reset and I felt like the ancestors were guiding me to figure out how I could survive that time, who I was to become, becoming a new person as a mother does. And so at that time, there were some ancestors that came forward to me, and actually began to teach me about how to make herbal medicine. Some plants came along at the same time. A plant called yarrow, which is a lot of herbalists' first plant. I hear it a lot. I hear herbalists say that yarrow was the first plant that they really had a close relationship with or got to know. And that's because yarrow is such a teacher of boundaries. And so many of us don't have a healthy relationship with our boundaries, or we're just really not taught it collectively, how to just be in good relationship with ourselves and how to take care of our own selves and be, how to hold a boundary, how to say no, especially as women and as Black women. And so yarrow was introduced to me, and it came through these all these serendipities. It arrived at the same time through many different angles, and that's one of the ways that spirit communicates to me. And so did this ancestor, who I would see and hear instructing me as I made medicine with yarrow. And so this ancestor told me to, and by told me, I mean, I felt the instruction through my body as I was making the tea. And I was aware who it was coming from. And so she taught me to pray with the tea, pray with the medicine. So really, that's when I was beginning to realize that this is something that requires some reverence, and that like this like dried plant that grew,
Okay.
that this dried plant is a representative, is a representative of a species that is a living species, that is an ancient species that has been alongside humanity, healing us for all of humankind, that we've always recognized as sacred. Yarrow is one that has been found in the burial grounds of like ancient Sumerian burial grounds. So it's a protector. It's boundary medicine. So they're considered a protector. They're used in the I Ching, which is a ancient Chinese divination system. The stalks are used; they're thrown down as part of that divination system. The I Ching is the book of change.
Yes. Love it.
And yarrow is a miracle plant to me. I love that you use that word. I feel that yarrow is a miracle plant. We're talking about boundaries. So yarrow is antiviral and antibacterial, which are, the immune system is part of the body's boundary system to protect us from pathogens, from illness. So we see how the physiological supports of herbs mirrors and speaks to their energetic and psychospiritual supports. Yarrow is also a wound healer.
Okay.
So it can stop bleeding if you apply it like topically to your skin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this, and I mean, no disrespect in this question, and I think you'll get it when I say this. You mentioned New Orleans as part of your roots. One of the things that people, and this is what the white guy did to us, is that Black people back in those days practiced various techniques of what you're talking about for herbs and things of that sort. And then what they did to dilute the effectiveness of it, to shame it, is they called it voodoo. That's why that's where that comes from. And out of New Orleans, there were people who used those herbs, some of what you mentioned and many others, as they didn't have access to medical doctors and things of that sort. And it helped cure them of whatever they were trying, to satisfy, to be better at. But then they called it voodoo. Are you familiar with that term and that history of any note?
Somewhat, yes. My sister could definitely speak more as a historian of slavery.
Yes.
But what I'll say is, yeah, voodoo comes from the word Vodun, as I understand, which is a Haitian religion, Black Haitian, um, with and even it's interesting the way you phrase this, because I heard you say like they called it voodoo, but what is voodoo? Why is voodoo something that's negative to say?
Right.
It isn't at all. But what, yes, like you said, it was demonized,
Right.
and all of our practices, our healing practices, were demonized to the point that even just the word voodoo now, people are like, "Ooh, voodoo!" Like it's something
Exactly.
that's evil.
Yes.
I see this all the time. I see this all the time. I one day a week I work at an herb shop in Oakland, and called the Ravens Wing, and I see people come in who are curious and afraid, and sometimes and have a lot of questions about, like, is this okay to do? Does this conflict with my religion?
Oh, sure.
And
Okay.
so, this is our ancestral medicine. This is our birthright. It's our relationship to the plants, which are growing in the earth alongside us. They're part of the bio community that we are meant to be living in. But we don't live like that. We don't see it. We don't see ourselves in community with the living beings around us anymore. But it's only been a very short time in human history that we've been so disconnected. It's been a very short time in human history that we've been so disconnected. So
Yeah, sure.
so many of us remember and know and sense and understand that the calling that we have to our own power, as expressed through being in relationship with the trees, looking at the moon, wanting, wanting and needing to tend a relationship with nature, and being curious about herbal medicine. Being curious about herbal medicine implies that we understand on some level that we have the power to heal ourselves. That
My God, I love it.
if we're left free, we will be healed. We will heal. It's everything operating around us that stops us from healing, or around us and within us, that that is imposed and programmed into us. But our beings know how to heal, just like the earth does. And we're not disconnected from the healing cycles of the earth. Our beings have them too. So yes, like voodoo, uh um and in indigenous spiritualities, really, the tarot, even, like, there's so many things that people are demonized and think and question and see as somehow evil, and that's because of how they've been weaponized
Yeah,
against us,
right.
because of how powerful they are, because this is how part of how we survived. But it's also, I really love and honor when I hear people, when I hear Black people and Native people in that place of questioning, because it means that that they're feeling called by what they already know is true and real. That's their power, and the power of their relationship to the elements, to energies around them, to spirit, that their intuition, something is calling them to wake up and to realize that they're connected. And I just think it's a really powerful place to be. And it's also a place where we can get swept away,
Right.
if we're not, in community
Sure.
with others who can affirm that.
Sure.
Or yeah. So
Let
yeah.
me let's go backwards just a second, to maybe what slaves might have went through. What are there other herbs that you know of that they took, that they were able to get from the plantations or wherever they were able to grow, that had healing powers?
Hmm. Yes. Well, so we look at the herbs that are native to where we were enslaved. And I'll speak to the two um, that spoke to me most. And I'll pause and say, there aren't a lot of this has been recorded by like a very small number of people. And in recent years has been published and is being, shared more and more now because people are remembering. But because it's what we need now too. We need the things that our ancestors remembered in order to survive. We also are in a moment of great change and great transitions collectively, and so we're also at a time where we're needing to remember it. And so I don't have a lot of like, I don't have a lot of answers. I don't have a lot of specific like a materia medica that of ancestral like medicine that enslaved Africans were using here on this land. But I do know that when I visited plantations, I paid attention to the plants that were around me that I saw growing there. And I saw a lot of medicinal herbs. And I knew, oh, our people had to have been using this. I knew our people had to have been using this. Willow trees. Willow is pain reliever, analgesic. And yeah, it's a very strong pain reliever. And it's also energetically, it's also, they can support us to be in the flow, to allow things to flow, to grieve, to allow grief to flow. And so I noticed willow being really present when I visited the Whitney plantation just outside of New Orleans. And yeah, when I saw willow there, I cried because I could feel their presence as I could imagine and feel my ancestors' grief, and my own moving through me. And so also to have, the physical pain relief is powerful.
Let me ask you this one. What about, how do you take a herb from a plant? Yeah, I mean, you crush it up and you put it in hot water, cold water, you drink it as a tea. Do you add sugar, honey? How do you do that?
It depends on the herb and it depends on what you're moving, what you're healing. But there's tea, because water extracts more of the minerals and the medicinal constituents than like alcohol does. Water is a good extractor for to pull the medicine out of the plant. And so a lot of herbs really like hot water. Some prefer to be extracted in cold water, like marshmallow root, for instance. But others will really like to be in hot water, and the hot water will pull out the medicine. And so that would be a tea. In my practice, teas are like a deeply infused tea that's been steeping for like 6 hours or so. Like I'll do it overnight for ease, and then in the morning strain it. And then you have like a mason jar full of tea, a very strongly infused tea that you can drink over the course of a couple days. Refrigerate it. That's to me like you're getting the most medicine. But some herbs, you'll need a higher dose. And so a tincture, which is like preserved herbs, it's like a tea but made with alcohol instead of water, or alcohol and water, because the alcohol is a preservative. And so you can get a more concentrated dose in that way. You can also have tinctures made with apple cider vinegar instead of alcohol. Apple cider vinegar also can extract the medicine. Oils, so herbal infused oils, you can put on your skin, you can eat, you can drink, or like put in. I mean, I guess I don't know why I said drink. But yeah, you can eat. You can bathe in. That's another way to like take herbal medicine is to bathe in.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
You can pour a deeply infused tea like what I described, right into the bath and let it soak into your skin. Or a foot bath. The bottoms of the feet are really absorbative.
Oh, really?
You can do that too. So many ways to physically get the medicine into your body. And I have to say, like, many of us, or like all of us who have ancestors who worked with herbal medicine, there's a way to be in relationship with the plants where we're not just taking, we're not just like taking, but we're also giving back. We're also like listening to the plant, because this is different. We have to view it as different than allopathic medicine, which has its place as well. But this isn't just, I'm going to take my asthma inhaler and then put it down. This is a, like I said, it's a living entity. And so
I got you.
there's something really important right now that has been forgotten through whiteness, through the last few hundred years, that, or it hasn't been forgotten entirely at all, but has been forgotten intentionally on the mainstream, and that many of us still remember, and that is reciprocity. That's relationship, and that's healing. And so I grow my plants. So I
was going to ask you that. Are there plants that you grow? Yes.
Yes. And some of the plants that I grow, some of the herbs that I grow, I don't even harvest from them at all. I grow them and I keep their seeds and I continue to tend them year after year. Because it allows me to be in a relationship with that plant in a different way. For instance, passion flower. Passion flower is one that grows throughout the Deep South. I'm certain that our ancestors have worked with that through slavery. Passion flower is a muscle relaxer. It's really nice for helping to sleep because it like makes the muscles relax. And so it's physically supportive to restfulness. And passion flower also has a little fruit, passion fruit, which you may have seen. I think it's called maypop. I think I've heard passion flower called maypop in the South. And yeah, and so passion flower, and has these like really beautiful purple alien looking flowers.
Right.
Yeah, so I grow passion flower. I don't harvest from it. It hasn't flowered yet. It's in a pot. I live in West Oakland in the city, and so I have a potted herb garden. So all of my herbs have been with me, living in these pots, a thriving herb garden that, and so this passion flower, it was a cutting from my teacher's garden. When my teacher moved, she gave me a cutting, and it grew roots, and I planted it, and so it's just kind of a baby. And
okay, I love it.
It's starting to vine, but I don't harvest from it, but I do take care of it, and so taking care of it, that time in the garden is part of the healing. It's part of the medicine. That time watering it, that time transplanting it, and that time sitting down and just doing nothing and just like listening to it, asking for wisdom.
I got you. I got two more. If you got an herb, let's say any one of them that you chose, do you take that herbal tea every day, or usually I mean, I'm sure it depends on what it is, but is it usually a daily type thing? Is more than one time a day?
It really depends. It really depends on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Like, but I will say, we always should give our bodies a rest. So if we're taking something every day, giving yourself 2 weeks of like not taking it to let your body kind of reset, notice what's shifted in your body, notice, what's needed, whether the dosage needs to change or whether you need to slow down with it or continue as it was, letting your body speak for those 2 weeks, and I'm not giving that as like a blanket.
Sure. I understand that.
But yeah.
Let me ask you this one, and I got 2 more questions for the sake of time. If you got cancer, is there an herb for that? Like for men, prostate cancer, is there something that you might suggest without being medically saying it?
Prostate cancer. There are a lot of herbs. There's much to say about the prostate, and about prostate cancer, but there are a lot of herbs that have been studied in a Western context for cancer, and a few, and there are many herbs that we've been knowing are impactful and preventative for cancer. For instance, reishi, turkey tail. These are mushrooms medicinal mushrooms
Oh,
that are reishi is one that can be taken while in the process of chemo to help with the process, to help reduce the discomfort
okay.
and improve the effectiveness.
Reishi.
And
Okay.
it's been known to shrink tumors, really high in antioxidants. So
Okay.
there are lots and lots of plants that are high in antioxidants. Yeah, so the mushrooms are a strong one
Okay. Okay.
for cancer in general.
Okay. Let me ask couple more things, I guess, because I like this a lot. And you jamming. Um, I had a procedure done to me it's called Rinky. I guess I'm pronouncing it right, but it was a touchless massage,
Reiki. Uh-huh.
Reiki, and it
Reiki is
worked.
a Japanese form of energy healing.
It worked.
You
I
know,
attest to it. I had
no doubt.
a shoulder surge, shoulder problem, and they did that on me, and it went away. I will tell anybody about that. So there is some scientific proof, I would suspect, that the herbs that you suggest, these other metaphysical type things, they do work.
Oh yes, absolutely. Reiki is a Japanese form of energy healing. We all have, again, like we all have ancestors who practice energy healing. And so there's Reiki is the one that's really popular. It's very popular and known in the U.S. A lot of white folks practice it, and we all have practice using our hands to heal energetically. Black folks, absolutely, yes,
Okay.
because our bodies are expressions of healing energy. Like I said, like healing energy wants to move through us. It's how our bodies are designed. It's how the earth moves. We're part of the earth, so we're constantly in processes of healing. And so we can connect with that energy. We can invite it through our hands and touch one another, or get, maybe not physically. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
right.
hands-on. Sometimes it's at with some space.
Sure.
Sometimes it's remote.
Sure.
But yeah,
Really.
we can connect with one another across space and time, and with one another as whole soul beings, and allow that and encourage and support that healing to move, particularly folks who are like blessed to train with those who have been trained,
Sure.
and who, who remember these practices and continue to pass them along.
Sure.
And those of us, yeah, who are sensitive and practiced at holding and moving energy.
Sure.
It's something you can do. You can put your hand right there and invite the healing energy to move through your hand.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What you might have alluded to this earlier, and I think you did, but as we come to a close, you call yourself a what? Is there a word for it? A bunch of words?
I mean, herbalist, community herbalist, ancestral herbalist, medicine person is the one that feels right to me. Medicine woman.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. This is my last one, and I do this with everybody. Is there a question that I have not asked you? Something that just comes to mind, or something that, in the, 30-second you want to share? Something the ancestors is telling you.
A question. Well, there is something coming up. It's not a question.
Yeah, I'm not asking you a question.
Okay,
Mine was, is there a question? Yours is the answer to whatever that may be.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
Our healing, this has been really present for me right now. Our healing, our challenges, our stress, we're made to believe that it's our own and it's part of us and it's ours to deal with by ourselves. But actually, when things are coming up in one of us, it has a root network that's connected to all of us. And so just inviting everyone who's here watching this to recognize that your healing and your moments of your challenging moments, you are not alone in it, that others, and that by being part of being strong, back to strength, back to being strong, and the beautiful acronym that you gave us. My strength is nothing without yours. And so that requires us to be able to be intimate, to be vulnerable, like our conversation tonight was.
Yeah, sure.
And to realize that, like, that my vulnerability, my struggle is a reflection and is connected with you and yours. And when I'm able to speak about mine, it's healing you as well. And when you speak about yours, it's healing me as well. And so that just really feeling into the interconnectedness of our healing in this transitional time on earth, where we really need each other.
Yeah. I love it. Everybody. Did you get that? Did y'all, my viewers, get that? Boom shakalaka. Oh, she put it down. Deep sister too. And speaking truth. And this has been her calling since age 2, 3, and so on and so forth, and is an expert at it today. So everybody, I tell you what I want you to do is hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations, hit the like button on this video. If there was a love button, I know you would hit that, but there isn't one, so just like it. Hit the notifications bell, tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Feel her spirit as she's come through telling you some things that you need to understand and recognize. And don't let anybody else tell you otherwise.
That's right.
They slant it, and that's not right. And we know it's not right. That's why I wanted to do this and many more like this to uplift us, me, in this regard. And so one of the things that we need to do is do the research. There are books out there that tell you about these various herbs and techniques. And if you have something, don't just listen to the doctor. Maybe do what they say. I'm with that, but supplement it with some of the things that she talked about today and others that you can research. Do that, my friends. Everybody get a copy of my book, watch my movie and all that good stuff. Look for those word plaques. Go to my website, businessintheblack.net. And to you, my sister, I say this, and I mean this with all sincerity. I really do, because you've helped me. I'm doing some more research on my situation, because I ain't no middle-aged guy now. That I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, keep doing what you're doing. You are, in many respects, saving lives. Which will save your life.
Through and with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This
with that,
so
I'll
much.
say, bye-bye, we out.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for this wisdom share, for this space, and your beautiful energy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, babe. Bye-bye.